The day I found out I was pregnant, Lena posted her marriage certificate on Facebook. The caption read, "The staunch anti-marriage CEO makes an exception for love. I am truly the happiest woman in the world." The name Ethan on the red paper pierced my eyes. I silently liked the post. The mistress deleted her Facebook, but Ethan called me yelling, "Lena just wants a certificate. You are still my wife, so stop making a big deal out of nothing, okay?" I smiled without speaking, turned around, aborted the child, and left Ethan's home. Touching my flat belly, my eyes grew warm and tears fell. Although I knew the baby in my belly was only a month old, not even the size of a bean, I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sadness. 7 days later was Ethan's birthday. I had planned to surprise him that day and tell him he was going to be a father, but now it seems there's no need. Looking back over the past 2 years. Because my mother-in-law said Ethan is against marriage, but as long as you have a child he surely won't be able to bear his own flesh and blood being out in the world and he will marry you. I endured the pain of 2 years of ovulation injections, clinging to Ethan as we tried to conceive. For a long time, but now all my efforts have been in vain. He has married Lena and my child has become an unacknowledged illegitimate child, a disgrace. At 9 o'clock in the evening Ethan rarely came home this early. He took a bracelet out of his pocket and personally put it on me. "I bought this just for you, do you like it?" Looking at the green 4-leaf clover on my wrist, I opened my mouth but swallowed my words. It was a 5 million yuan ruby necklace that the elf family had just launched 2 days ago. The gift was this 1,000 yuan 4-leaf clover bracelet. Alright, don't overthink it. Ethan, for the first time, took the initiative to hold me in his arms, nuzzling his head affectionately against my neck, his tone gentle. Lena attended a friend's wedding today and, being reminded of the occasion, suddenly felt that life was incomplete without a marriage certificate, which is why she came to me to resolve her regrets. "It's just a piece of paper, nothing important." I helped out casually, "But don't worry, I am clear with her, you are still the lady I recognize." Ethan is naturally aloof, and this is the first time he has spoken so much in front of me, yet it is for another woman. I struggled out of his arms and turned to walk toward the bedroom. My cold attitude displeased Ethan. He raised his voice and said sternly, "Chloe, since I dared to be honest, it means I respect you, but your jealousy really disappoints me. I have already bought a gift as compensation. If you keep making a scene, don't expect me to cooperate with you in having a baby this month." With that, he slammed the door of the study. At that moment I felt that the love I had fought for over 3 years was not worth it. After thinking all night, I decided to take a chance and tell Ethan about my pregnancy, but after searching the entire villa there was no sign of him. So I opened my phone and scrolled to Lena's Facebook. At 7 in the morning she posted an update. "I mentioned wanting to eat crab roe buns and you rushed over at 4 o'clock, personally cooked at 5 o'clock, doing everything from washing the crabs to kneading the dough, touching who, I won't say." The hope in my heart was completely extinguished. I took a taxi to the hospital. After half an hour I had the child I had carried for 2 years removed. Afterwards I went to the bridal shop to cancel my appointment, but I ran into Ethan who was helping Lena adjust the neckline of her wedding dress. "Are you following me?" He was somewhat angry, his tightly furrowed brows filled with impatience. Lena pretended to be fierce as she swatted away the man's hand on her chest, her beautiful eyes glaring. "How could you speak to your wife like that? You're just an NPC accompanying me for a wedding photo shoot. Chloe isn't a petty person, how could she possibly stoop so low as to follow us over such trivial matters?" I nodded perfunctorily. "You are his wife, whatever you say is right." I turned to leave, but Ethan grabbed my wrist. "What are you being sarcastic about? I'm open and honest with Lena, how many times do I have to repeat that?" Thinking of those hands that had just been on Lena's chest a minute ago made me feel utterly disgusted, and I slapped him away forcefully. In this struggle Ethan suddenly let go. I fell backward, my abdomen hitting the table, causing a sharp pain that made me break out in a cold sweat. Lena pretended to scold Ethan for a moment, then squatted down to help me, but before her hand could touch me she plopped down on the ground. "Ah, Sister Chloe, I was trying to help you, how could you treat me like this?" Ethan picked up the tearful Lena, his piercing gaze sweeping toward me. "If Lena's hand is ruined, I will never let you go." With that, he strode away holding Lena, but it was clearly Lena who had cut her palm with the diamond from her wedding dress just moments ago. At this moment I felt incredibly grateful that I had lost the child. How could a blind man who had given all his affection and attention to other women possibly become a good father? That night a photo suddenly appeared in the group chat. I clicked to see Ethan holding Lena tightly, watching with concern as the doctor treated her palm. I recognized that doctor, Liam, one of Ethan's close friends. The group quickly became lively. Reuniting with the first love goddess, wow, little rascal, you really pulled a big one. I thought the marriage certificate was fake, but it turns out you truly embraced a beauty. Congratulations, and may you have a child soon. The persona of a marriage-averse person is just to wait for the first love to come back, right? Deeply devoted and single-minded, no wonder you have a wife. Liam followed closely. I've said it before, Ethan and Lena are a perfect match. After missing each other for so many years, they finally came together. I advise other random folks to have some self-respect and stop meddling. Someone joked. Chloe is beautiful and has a nice figure, why not keep her as a mistress and enjoy the benefits of a couple? It would be a shame to throw her away. If Ethan gets tired of her he can pass her on to me. I've already raised 3, so I'm not short of one more. I joined this group disguised as a playboy, and no one knows my true identity yet. It allowed me to learn Ethan's true thoughts. He pretended to be angry and scolded. Although Chloe is nowhere near as good as Lena, she is still my woman, so keep your mouth clean. Liam changed the subject and joked, you've already got the certificate, so get on the road early and tie your first love down with a child. Ethan replied, mind your own business. A few minutes later the man's boastful nature was revealed. Ethan sent a picture of a large red sheet covered with red dates and longan. The caption read, tonight. The group exploded with messages, those debauched young masters all giving him advice on how to hit the mark. I closed my eyes and stopped looking at the screen full of filthy language. An hour later Ethan sent a message, steady. My heart sank instantly. I posted a photo of the pregnancy test showing 2 lines, along with the medical report, on Facebook. The caption read, no fate, then goodbye. The first to like it was Lena's alternate account. Soon after she posted a status about the importance of self-awareness. Like a victorious rooster, she couldn't wait to declare her triumph. Not long after, my phone rang. I saw it was Ethan calling and, without hesitation, I clicked to hang up. I thought he would call back to pester me, but after waiting for more than half an hour I still didn't receive another call from him. I self-deprecatingly tugged at the corner of my mouth. What are you thinking, Chloe? Tonight is the long-awaited wedding night with his first love. Do you really expect him to abandon the one he loves and come back to you? Letting go of the last bit of hope in my heart, I began to pack my bags. I threw away the couple's mugs, cut up the tie I gave him, and put all the jewelry that I didn't buy myself into the safe. In the end I managed to pack less than 2 suitcases worth of belongings. Just as dawn was breaking, I stood at the door waiting for the car, but instead an unexpected guest arrived. Ethan got out of the Maybach angrily, kicking over the suitcase beside me. Chloe, are you crazy? That's my child. Who gave you the right to unilaterally terminate the pregnancy? Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant? That's still my flesh and blood. I was amused by his sudden and intense sense of morality. I lifted the suitcase to leave, but he grabbed my shoulder, forcing me to meet his gaze. The marriage certificate is really just a piece of paper. I've told you that you are still Mrs. Fu. House, car, money, whatever you want, you can have it. Why do you have to be so stubborn? With a slap I turned his head aside. Even at this point you still want to deceive me, what? Do you have to wait until your child with Lena is born before you admit to your affair with her? Ethan's pupils trembled and he instinctively murmured, I didn't. I shot him a disdainful glance. What a coward, who dares to act but not to admit it. After saying that, I pushed my suitcase out. This time Ethan didn't stop me, he just yelled angrily from behind. Without me, you will never be able to be a rich man's wife for the rest of your life. Who cares? I am an orphan with no family to turn to. Fortunately my best friend Tina was willing to take me in. Upon learning that Ethan used the excuse of being against marriage and didn't want to get a certificate with me, but was willing to register his marriage to fulfill Lena's wish, she was so angry that she cursed Ethan's ancestors for 18 generations. Not forgetting to point at my forehead to educate me, I have warned you long ago. There is no man who is truly against marriage. If they say that, it means there is someone in their heart, yet they are unwilling to give up what they have, wanting both ways. You just love that dog of a man too much, that's why you were deceived in body and heart. Stabbed in the heart, I could no longer hold back and I cried loudly while holding Tina. Yes, I pursued Ethan for 3 years and met his parents for 2. I thought that as long as I stayed by his side, one day he would see my good qualities, clear his heart, and let me move in. But I clearly underestimated the destructive power of a man's first love. One sentence from Lena made my 5 years of effort go to waste. Tina held me tightly, heartbroken, and comforted me. We women must learn to let go and pick up. We shouldn't seek death and despair over a man. To take a step back, not having registered a marriage with him is a good thing. It means I'm rid of a scumbag ex-husband and avoid the hassle of divorce. I sniffed. It seems to be this reasoning. Tina was worried about my health and insisted that I stay at her house for my confinement. It wasn't until more than a month later, when I had fully recovered, that she agreed to let me move out. I just didn't expect that as soon as I moved into the hotel, Ethan would knock on my door. Have you had enough of the fuss? If you have, come back with me. I ignored him and prepared to close the door, but he suddenly wedged his arm in. His tightly furrowed brow froze for a moment when it met my cold, distant gaze. For a moment no one spoke. Just when I thought his gaze would pierce through me, Ethan finally spoke. I'm sorry about the child. Lena meant no harm, marrying me was just a spur-of-the-moment whim. Every Valentine's Day, every holiday with special significance, as long as Lena gave a slight beckon, Ethan would eagerly rush over to accompany her. It's funny to say, but the most romantic and undisturbed day during the 5 years with Ethan was the day of our engagement. In the back garden of the Fu family villa there were blue roses that Ethan had personally planted. On the day the flowers bloomed he placed a diamond-studded crown on my head and led me in front of my in-laws. He knelt on one knee, slipped the ring onto my finger, and placed a devout kiss on the back of my hand. That day Ethan's gaze was more dazzling than the sun, leaving a lasting impression on me. On the appointed day I took a car to Long Wai Bay. This villa was a birthday gift from Ethan to Lena. Lena is a girl with a material foundation, which gives her confidence when going out, but he has never given me expensive gifts, claiming that love cannot be measured by money. Walking into the living room, Lena was sitting on the sofa wearing that $5 million necklace. Ethan gestured for me to sit down and poured me a cup of tea. Just as I was about to take a sip, a heavy photo album landed in front of me. Lena smiled and said, "Many friends heard that I got my marriage certificate and laughed, saying I was lying. There was no way around it, so I had to drag Ethan along for our honeymoon. You know, we have to play the part completely, right, Sister Chloe?" I flipped through the photo album, from Sonia to the Maldives, then flying to Antarctica to see penguins. Ethan, who doesn't like to travel, accompanied Lena on her world tour. He was indifferent to me, who was confined to bed rest at Tina's house. Even though I had already given up on him, I still couldn't help but feel sad. Closing the album, I said lightly, "You didn't ask me here today just to explain the marriage certificate, did you? Why bring up all this irrelevant nonsense?" Lena's expression stiffened. Meeting Ethan's urging gaze, she awkwardly tugged at the corner of her mouth and reluctantly murmured, "Ethan is right, he's just trying to satisfy my momentary confusion." Ethan nodded in agreement. "Once Lena's friends are no longer concerned about this matter, we will proceed with the divorce. As compensation for the child, and you, if you still want to get the certificate by then, I am willing. Sorry to interrupt you, but you don't have a chance anymore." As soon as the words left my mouth, a tall and handsome man walked in. "Long time no see, Maximus," also Ethan's art rival, the white moonlight that Lena has pursued for 8 years but could never have. "Maximus, what are you doing here?" Lena's eyes lit up and she immediately broke into a big smile. Jogging over to Maximus, "Weren't you starting a new company abroad and planning not to come back?" Maximus took a couple of steps toward me, his tone flat. "Don't call me brother, my parents only had me. If you keep shouting like that, I wouldn't mind sewing up that slanderous mouth of yours and sending you a lawyer's letter." "How do you speak like that?" Ethan had never been able to pursue Lena because of Maximus. Just when his first love seemed within reach today, his rival merely showed up and Lena couldn't wait to abandon him, running off eagerly. This made Ethan feel quite furious. But how could Lena tolerate anyone giving her moonlight a cold shoulder? She immediately shot Ethan a fierce glare. "Guests should be treated well. Why aren't you quickly pouring tea? Maximus likes Longjing tea." Ethan was so angry that his brows twitched and he gritted his teeth, squeezing out a few words through clenched jaws. "Lena, I'm not a damn waiter and this isn't a hotel." Lena completely ignored Ethan's fury and squeezed herself between me and Maximus. Maximus, how long do you plan to stay in the country this time? Are you free tonight? I'll cook for you myself. Maximus bypassed her chattering and walked up to me. He gently took my hand and intertwined our fingers. Already married, no one else should get involved. Lena was so shocked that her eyes widened. Ethan was first taken aback, then he stared at the overlapping hands of Maximus and me, mocking us with extreme disdain. Chloe, even if you're angry that I got a certificate with Lena, there's no need to casually grab a man and use such a clumsy lie to satisfy your competitive desire, right? Forget it, considering how deeply you love me, I'll give you another chance. Come over to my side and I'll forgive you for this unreasonable fuss this time. Even though I had long given up on him, seeing his confident demeanor and that condescending tone still made my chest tighten with bitterness. Taking a deep breath, I was about to start cursing when Maximus spoke up first. Who do you think you are to point fingers at Chloe? Dressed to the nines but unable to speak like a human, if there's no mirror, then just take a piss and look at yourself. That mysterious confidence like a greasy man is truly nauseating. When had Ethan ever been mocked like this? He immediately clenched his fist and swung. Who the hell are you to talk back when I'm speaking to my woman? Maximus let go of my hand, the two of them were grappling with each other. Can't understand human language? Chloe and I are married, you aren't even her ex-husband. Soon Ethan was beaten to a pulp, but Maximus wasn't in much better shape, blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. Lena was frantic, rushing forward to hug Ethan around the waist. Ethan, are you crazy? What if something happens to Maximus? I will definitely divorce you and make you pay. Ethan was furious, his eyes wide with rage, and he shouted, throwing Lena aside, you love him, so what do you think my years of sacrifice amount to? Maximus stood up and said without hesitation, tough luck for you. Ethan completely exploded, he flipped the table, smashed the vase, and destroyed everything in the living room with red eyes, roaring for everyone to get lost. Lena wanted to leave in our car, Maximus ruthlessly locked the car door. As we drove away, I saw Lena's jealous gaze in the rearview mirror, wishing she could burn a hole through me. Sorry, I didn't expect Ethan to take action. During the red light, I took out the small first aid kit from the car and wiped the corner of Maximus's mouth. It's just a small injury, don't worry. I regretted a bit. Had I known Ethan would go this crazy, I shouldn't have agreed to the marriage contract in the first place. Maximus's expression changed and his tone became somewhat anxious. Don't overthink it, since I'm the one who approached you for this deal, I can handle this little cost. He pulled out a chocolate from somewhere and handed it to me. Cheer up, at least today isn't about getting something for nothing, it has created a rift between Ethan and Lena. After a pause, he looked at me with some concern. It's just, I'm worried that Ethan won't believe that we got our certificate and that we're acting the whole part. Otherwise, let's just put you in a bit of a bind and have you stay at my place for a while. Maximus made a good point, and I didn't refuse. Nearly 2 months later, I moved back into the luxurious villa. As I rolled around on the big bed, I still felt a bit dazed. A month ago I was looking for a job, preparing to become a designer. I also submitted a resume to the MU group, but I didn't expect that Maximus would personally fly back from abroad to be the interviewer. That day, when I heard myself say the word single, Maximus's eyes lit up instantly. 2 days later he asked me to meet him at a cafe. His expression was somewhat sad. This is the offer letter, you can start after you recover. It seems he has investigated the entanglement between Ethan and me during this time. I was surprised and couldn't help but ask, aren't you afraid this is just a ruse between Ethan and me, meant to let me infiltrate your company and steal trade secrets? Maximus smiled faintly, his dark eyes sparkled like stars, so bright that one couldn't look away. Chloe, you will never become that kind of person. My heart raced in my chest. Ethan had warned me, Maximus is a flirt with a whole set of tricks to charm women, stay away from him, or you might get deceived and end up counting someone else's money. However, after a few days of contact, I felt that this statement was mistaken. Maximus is charming and humorous, treating people sincerely, he is not the so-called playboy at all. So when I was once again troubled by love and silently shedding tears, he said he was willing to help me make Ethan regret his past decisions. Thus I obtained the marriage certificate I had long desired. The person is not Ethan, but rather his art rival. In return, I need to help Maximus secure the design contract for the W family for the next year. After moving into the villa, I lived and ate with Maximus. In the morning I could even hitch a ride with him to the company. But a few later, while I was shopping alone, I was suddenly blocked by two bodyguards. When I was invited into the car, I saw Ethan glaring at me with a dark expression. I was a bit angry. Is there something? Can't I contact you if there's nothing? I rolled my eyes. You're already married, you need to keep your distance from other women, Chloe. I already said that was just a favor, the person I love. Stop pretending. I interrupted him. I pulled out the photos and chat records from his wedding night with Lena and shoved them in front of him. Weren't you quite happy on your wedding night? Ethan's Adam's apple bobbed and he nervously tried to speak. No need to explain, it's the unforgettable first love, the white moonlight, right? I'm happy for you that you managed to become a real couple. Don't worry, my child is gone, so you don't have to worry about anyone taking away your inheritance. My sarcastic tone pierced Ethan. He grabbed my hand, his tone urgent. Chloe, I swear the person I wanted to spend my life with from the very beginning is you. If you had told me earlier that we were having a child, I definitely wouldn't have agreed to Lena's request. Yes, I will go divorce her right now and then we. I pried his fingers apart one by one and said coldly, don't waste your efforts, I have already gotten a certificate with Maximus. You've had people follow me for over 10 days, haven't you already confirmed this fact? Why deceive yourself again? Ethan's eyes were filled with pain as he grasped the hem of my clothes, pleading, Chloe, you must have been deceived by him. I can find a lawyer to help you file for divorce. But, no. I refused, saying, Maximus's looks, character, and family background are all better than yours, and he has no unfulfilled first love. Being with him, I am willing. Since we are both married, please refrain from disturbing my life in the future. With that, I opened the car door and left under Ethan's murderous glare. After returning, Maximus told me that Lena has been seeking a divorce recently. No wonder Ethan has been lowering his stance to ask me to reconsider. It turns out that after being abandoned by his first love, he finally remembered my good qualities. With a self-deprecating laugh, I put down my pen and handed the new product design sketch to Maximus. After looking at it, he kept clapping and praising. Indeed, men only influence the speed at which you pick up your pen. I suddenly became curious. Had you seen my work before? Of course, of course. Maximus said nostalgically, at the university graduation exhibition, that was when we first met. I was astonished. How come I have no memory of that? Maximus side-eyed me. You back then were infatuated with Ethan, pursuing him passionately and boldly, so devoted that even the HR department of the Mu family couldn't pry you away. I was caught between laughter and tears, feeling a bit guilty. Don't worry, the love-struck brain has been removed, and I must win at tomorrow's W family dinner. But I didn't expect that Ethan would also be attending the banquet, accompanied by the elegantly dressed Lena. Maximus, am I beautiful? Will you dance with me? Maximus smoothly turned away, avoiding Lena's attempt to take his hand. Even though she was rejected, Lena didn't give up. Throughout the banquet she seized every opportunity to pester Maximus. Finally, when the brand representatives announced that they had chosen Mu as their partner, Lena raised her wine glass and smiled at the camera. Congratulations, Mr. Mu, may I have the honor of sharing a drink with you? Maximus couldn't refuse and had to agree. Amidst the fragrant atmosphere and elegant figures, the mood gradually reached its peak. Ethan pulled me onto the balcony and took out a large pink diamond. Chloe, come back to my side. The past 2 months were my confusion and I hurt your heart. After you left, I realized how dull and torturous life is without you. Don't worry, I've already signed the agreement with Lena, and I'll be able to get the divorce certificate in 10 days. By then, we are. Are you sick? I interrupted his heartfelt confession. Am I such a cheap person to be summoned and dismissed at your will? Not cherishing what you have, regretting after losing it, but there is no medicine for regret in this world. A broken mirror cannot be made whole again, you should just go on living well with your first love. Little did I know, Ethan suddenly leaned in, wrapping his arms around my waist and trying to kiss me. Chloe, you are mine. You said you loved me, how can you say you don't love me anymore? Are you crazy? I slapped him across the face, but he stubbornly held my head. Just as he was about to kiss me, I bit down on his chin. Ethan winced in pain and finally let go. I leaned against the railing, my stomach churning. I gagged until tears welled up. Ethan, with red eyes, stared at me. Chloe, do you really despise me this much? I struggled to sit up, completely devoid of any good expression. My body was dirty and my heart was dirty too. Shouldn't I feel disgusted? I didn't know which word had provoked Ethan. He suddenly burst into laughter, his expression turning mad. Think I'm dirty? Do you really believe Maximus is any better? I suddenly became alert. What did you do to Maximus? Ethan didn't answer, just looked at me with a sinister smile. I felt a sense of dread and ran towards the banquet hall, lifting my skirt, but I found the door was locked from the inside. No matter how much I pounded and shouted, no one came to help. It's useless, even if you rushed here now. They had already turned raw rice into cooked rice. In a moment of desperation, I grabbed the fire extinguisher from the corner and smashed it against the glass door. Are you trying to get yourself killed? Ethan is coming to take it. I directly turned on the switch and sprayed the dry powder at him. Chloe, how could you treat me like this for another man? I smashed through the glass door and ran inside without looking back. Whether you are dead or injured, it's all your own doing. I searched each room, my mood was more tense than ever. Finally, when I pushed open the last door, I saw Maximus. Blood was pouring from his left arm, his white shirt stained red, and he was gasping against the wall, sweat soaking his tousled hair, sticking to his forehead. Lena lay on the bed, a large bump on her forehead, her hand still in the motion of undressing. When I arrived, Maximus simply said, "I didn't touch her," and then fainted away. I was startled and quickly went to support him. Only then did I notice he was clutching a piece of the broken ashtray, his arms covered in scars. I called an ambulance and reported to the police. After guarding him in the hospital for a night, Maximus finally woke up. Chloe, I didn't. I pressed down on his shoulder that he was trying to lift. The surveillance footage from last night has been handed over to the police. Maximus, you have maintained your innocence. Lena's drugging and her aggressive approach completely infuriated Maximus. No matter how she cried pitifully, Maximus insisted on seeing her in court. Ethan wasn't doing any better. Not only did he fail to secure the W family's order, but he also became the target of Maximus's fury for forcefully kissing me that night. His performance and stock prices continued to plummet, leaving him in a state of distress. Our next meeting was at a drinking party. I sat next to Maximus, watching Ethan drink himself red-faced as he desperately tried to secure a new project, yet I still easily intercepted it. Chloe, do you really have to follow Maximus and push me to my limits? Outside the restroom, Ethan blocked my way. I couldn't tell if he was drunk or just pretending, but his eyes were red and he looked quite aggrieved. I've already divorced Lena, and that night I didn't really do anything to you. Why can't you just let it go? I couldn't help but laugh at his robber-like twisted logic. Your incompetence in hiring a satisfactory designer has nothing to do with me. We were together for 5 years, can't you even give me a little bit of consideration? Can you tolerate stepping on 2 boats, marrying the mistress, and letting my child become an illegitimate child? Ethan swallowed hard and fell silent. Lena was released from prison because she was pregnant. My ex-mother-in-law was very happy and didn't care about her divorce from Ethan, insisting on bringing her back to the Fu family to rest during her pregnancy. But at this moment Lena hated Ethan to death. She blamed him for marrying her recently, making her miss the best opportunity to pursue Maximus. She blamed him for the scheme that got her imprisoned that night, so she spent her days at home causing chaos, breaking dishes, throwing documents, setting the kitchen on fire, turning Ethan's home into a mess. My mother-in-law was quite troubled. After nearly dying on the operating table due to a stroke caused by anger, she finally gave up on having Lena give birth to her grandson. She gave Lena $50 million and sent her away from City A. Lena agreed and immediately used the money to buy a car. At that time I happened to be coming out of the office with Maximus and Ethan. The Mu family had just acquired 30% of the Fu family shares, and the contract had just been signed. As we went downstairs, Ethan gritted his teeth in anger. Stealing orders, stealing wives, stealing shares. Maximus, are you a damn robber? Don't talk nonsense. Maximus smiled coldly. The man who got the marriage certificate with Chloe is me. Who do you think you are? Her ex-husband? Ethan gritted his teeth. What are you so proud of? You can get married and then divorced. As long as the hoe is swung well, there's no wall that can't be dug through. Maximus's expression darkened. The two of them started exchanging words, and I felt overwhelmed, quickening my pace to leave. But just then a sudden change occurred. The glass door of the Fu family was smashed open, and a black car came rushing towards me at high speed. I widened my eyes, my mind went blank in an instant. By the time I realized what was happening and tried to run, the front of the car was less than a meter away from me. Before I could even scream, I was violently pushed aside by a strong force, Two figures, one black and one white, quickly appeared in front of me and then vanished just as fast. After a tremendous crash, the car slammed into the wall and came to a halt. I struggled to prop myself up, my vision filled with blood. Ethan lay in a pool of blood, his eyes still open, staring in my direction. Maximus wasn't in much better shape, he was thrown through the air, rolling several times before losing consciousness. That day, the sound of the ambulance echoed in my ears all the way. Ethan's white shirt turned redder than roses. Maximus's black suit remained the same color, only it kept dripping blood. Both of them were sent to the ICU at the same time, yet only one person came out alive. On the day of Ethan's funeral, his mother-in-law fainted several times from crying. She ordered someone to drag Lena out of the hospital, broke her legs, and forced her to kneel before her son. I pushed Maximus, who was sitting in a wheelchair, as we each placed a bouquet of flowers at Ethan's grave. Looking at the photo on the tombstone, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. It was both sour and painful. Suddenly I remembered something Ethan said 3 days ago when he asked to get back together again. "Chloe, if I were to give my life for our child, would you forgive me?" At that time I didn't respond to him, I didn't know how to reply. But now that he has saved me, I still can't bring myself to say that I forgive him. I really want to tell him, I hope you live to atone for your sins, even if you don't love me, but after all, it's a life, it shouldn't be thrown away because of someone as crazy as Lena, losing the only chance to live. Lena was beaten to death and then thrown into the police station by her former mother-in-law. It is estimated that, under the special care of the Fu family, her later years will not be easy. As for me, I intended to end the divorce agreement with Maximus, but he kept complaining about his leg pain, saying he needed someone to accompany him for rehabilitation exercises. Faced with those wet, peach blossom eyes, I kept swallowing my words of refusal. Forget it, after all, it was to save me that he lost his legs. Half a year later, Maximus finally stood up, reluctantly. That noon I personally cooked a big feast of his favorite dishes. "Why aren't you using your chopsticks? Is this a farewell meal?" Maximus was in low spirits. I chuckled and picked a chicken leg for him. "What are you thinking? It's just to celebrate your recovery." "Really?" "Of course." Maximus was still very afraid, taking a bite and glancing at me. Seeing him so nervous, I finally couldn't help but tell him, "Actually, I think a marriage of convenience is quite good. If we don't dislike each other, trying to get along isn't a bad idea." Maximus's eyes suddenly lit up, he stopped gnawing on the chicken leg, and his happiness brought a blush to the corners of his eyes. "Hey, why are you crying?" "I'm not, I'm just happy." Maximus stood up and took a contract from the safe. "Chloe, don't worry, I promise you will be the only woman in my life. If I cheat, I will leave with nothing." He unfolded the pre-drafted agreement and handed me the pen. "I trust you," I said, but Maximus was unwilling, persistently taking my hand to press down the fingerprint. "I want to give you a sense of security in my own way." I chuckled and let him do as he wished. 3 years later, I gave birth to a daughter. Although Maximus became a devoted father, he always put me first. After marriage, we never had a quarrel, our life was comfortable and pleasant. No matter the occasion, Maximus always wore his wedding ring, and he maintained excellent boundaries when interacting with women, never crossing into ambiguity. There were many vain women who wanted to climb into bed with him, yet no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't budge the walls even a little. Gradually, Maximus's name entered the blacklist of the elite ladies training class. He was quite pleased with this, proudly claiming he had a perfect score in male virtue. Indeed, if you are to love, love those who are already good people. Only in this way can you walk hand in hand into old age.